Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, my name's Bree, and I work here at Military Spouse Magazine, specifically for our Military Spouse of the Year team. And that's how I know Verenice. She is our 2013 Air Force Spouse of the Year. So we're very excited to have her. She does a great job with these webinars at finding, key personnel who have these resources and information that are so vital to the military spouse community. So I'm especially excited for today's webinar. We have Deborah from Military One Source, and she's going to be sharing with us a plethora of information. I'm extremely excited. I'm going to go ahead and get Verenice unmuted here. Verenice, can you hear us?
Oh, yes, yes. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Well, okay, good. I'm glad. Thank you so much, Bree, for helping us to put this together once again. And thank you to all the ones that are still logging in, and to all of you that are here. We are going to have a great webinar. We all know that right now there's a lot of things happening in our installations. We're losing resources, benefits. A lot of agencies are closing. And just keep in mind that although a lot of the furlough employees are coming back to work, our whatever is coming ahead of us is still very unpredictable. And it's always really good for us to be aware of what other resources we have available to us and our families outside of our installation. And let me tell you, there's a lot of organizations, there are a lot of places doing great things. And this is the reason why today we invited Military One Source. They have so much information to share with us, a lot of resources to offer, and more right now that like I said before, is so unpredictable. And it's always good for us. The more educated and the more that we know, the better we will be. So I want to say thank you, and I want to welcome Deborah from Military One Source for being here with us. So Deborah, thank you so much for being here. Hello, Deborah, can you hear me?
I'm going to unmute her right now, Verenice, and then hand over the video.
Okay.
Deborah, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Good.
Thank you so much for being with us. And I think you were listening to what I was saying. It is a really, really good thing to have you with us. That way you can share with us everything that you have to offer. And what is it that right now, I think that right now we need to be taking notes, because so many resources are gone from our installation. A lot of agencies are closing, and I'm talking about some of the installations are even struggling with canceling right now. And I know that you'll be talking to us about it, and there's so much more. So I want to encourage all the spouses that are listening to us right now to take notes, because there's so much to learn and so much resources available that we want to make sure that we keep track and we don't lose any of that information. And just remember, the webinar is being recorded, and we will be able to send a copy to everyone, and we'll be sharing with everyone else. That way this training can be shared and the information as well. So now I'm going to go to you, Deborah, and welcome, and thank you so much for being with us.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm just going to pretend that we're all sitting in a room together, because I wish we were, but we're going to give it our best shot by doing some information on Military One Source. And as you can see, this first slide, I sort of personalized it because Verenice and I are in New Mexico. I'm a little further north than she is, and as some of you may know, this is Balloon Fiesta Week. And so this is an actual picture that you see from yesterday's mass ascension. And so if you get to New Mexico, certainly look me up, but come during Balloon Fiesta because it's fantastic. What my goal today is just to give you a quick overview of Military One Source, because I'm betting that a lot of you are familiar with Military One Source, so I don't want to bore you. We're going to go through it fairly quickly, and then I'm really hoping to share with you some things that you may not know or be as familiar with Military One Source, because it is a Department of Defense funded program, and you know it provides comprehensive information on every single aspect of military life that you can think of or I can think of, and then some. All of the resources are available, of course, at no cost, and the services are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year by telephone and online. So first of all, you know, the major question then is who is eligible? As you know, active duty, Guard, and Reserve service members and their immediate family members, which means basically ID card holders. Now, any of you in the Guard or the Reserve that are with us today, you know, make sure your folks know and the families know that they are eligible for all Military OneSource resources and services regardless of their activation. You know, a lot of people still, I think, believe that they're only eligible for Military OneSource if their spouses or the service member is deployed, and that's certainly not true. And you can see some other eligibility criteria on there. One that's not on that's important in case some of you are getting ready or near retirement. Make sure that you know that you're still eligible for Military OneSource up to 180 days following retirement or discharge. Okay, so obviously everything that you do with Military OneSource is private and confidential. Nobody's going to ask for unit information or social security number, or there aren't any records kept of your interactions with a Military OneSource, and nothing is going back to anybody's command. The only exception to that, of course, is if there's a duty to warn, you know, which means if someone's at risk of harm to themselves or others, or if there's some type of illegal activity going on. You know, I should have mentioned that please, please, please feel free to ask questions. What I thought we would do is after we go through this briefing very briefly, then we'll stop for a few minutes, and if there are questions, I will hopefully be able to answer those before we go into maybe finding some new things about Military OneSource that you may not be aware of. So I have to tell you, when I go out and meet a lot of times with service members, and I'll always ask, you know, what do you know about Military OneSource? And a lot of service members look at me with kind of deer in the headlights look, and they'll say, well, counseling and taxes. And while it's true that Military OneSource does provide counseling, and we do have a lot of tax help and assistance and information, you know, usually our spouses know a lot more about what is available. And you can see from this slide that there's information and resources on a huge number of topics. And the topics are often interconnected. Let's say that that you're getting ready to move, and you have a special needs child. You know, so you're looking at assistance with relocation, and also you want to know what resources are going to be available in that next community for your special needs child. So the topics are very much interconnected, and I want you to remember this slide because I'm going to tell you kind of a funny personal story in just a little bit that will show you a little bit more about the range of support. So really and truly something for everyone. And I have to tell you that every single time I go on the website, and you know, I've been with Military OneSource for almost 3 years. Every single time I go on the website, I find something new. Okay, so in case you haven't been on the web page for a while, this is the newly designed home page. And the cool thing about this that you may not realize is that there are 2 points of entry now. This is called the public side, and you don't have to log in order to get lots and lots of information from this part of the website. The public site, which is what you're looking at now, doesn't require a login. Now I want to show you just a couple of things before we move on. Down here at the bottom, and hopefully you're seeing my little cursor, the installation locator. I hope all of you have used that, and you probably have. I think one of the coolest things about it, of course, is it'll tell you all you want to know about an installation. But there's a calculator in there that will also do a cost comparison between where you're living now and where you're going to see what the difference in cost of living is. And boy, is that valuable information. Up here you see where my cursor is, the blog brigade. And you know what? Yesterday I glanced at it, and there was a wonderful person who had blogged coping with parenting guilt. And gosh, I know I've always suffered from feeling guilty about something about being a mom. So what a great article to blog about. And the other thing I want to point out is this is a really good option for parents of our young, very young service members, because a lot of times they are very concerned about their young adult entering the military, and they can find out so much information about the military just from going onto this page. And then this is, of course, where you log in and register is right up here at the top on the right. And when you log in, you're going to provide your branch and component, and whether you're stateside or overseas, your current base or whatever base, and your state. And then all of the information, as I mentioned, is private and confidential. And then once you log in, you leave the public side, and you have access to the counseling products and specialty consultations and that kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to spend a little bit of time on this slide to talk about military one-source counseling, and it's what we call personal non-medical counseling. So, you see that a lot, but what kind of counseling is that? Well, it's short-term, it's solution-focused to address issues like stress, relationship issues, because don't we all have those, parenting, work stress, grief, or just any kind of life change or transitions. And what's provided, there are 12 non-medical counseling sessions per issue, per family member, per rolling calendar year. And of course, there's no cost. So let's talk just briefly about what military one-source is not. It doesn't provide or determine a medical diagnosis. It's not part of TRICARE, and it's not meant to replace TRICARE or substitute for TRICARE, so it really doesn't cover mental health conditions. There are 3 ways that you can get military one-source counseling, and you'll see those listed here. Face-to-face with a licensed counselor in your community. And you get that referral by calling Military One-Source, and of course that's available in the continental U.S. only, face-to-face counseling is. And you know what, generally you're going to be referred and seen within about 72 hours, which is pretty good. And then telephone counseling with a Military One-Source counselor who's located in the call center. Now what's kind of interesting is those counselors in the call center, all they do is talk to military folks, family members, and service members. So they're very familiar. And in fact, I want to give a shout out to the call center and to all those folks is that, all of us, I think, who work for Military One-Source are very familiar with the military, and we have some type of affiliation. So the call center and the telephone counseling is especially good for folks who are overseas, because the hours available for telephone counseling really will cover any time zone. I mean, you can fit it in any time zone because they do have extended hours. Now, generally, telephone counseling is going to be for an individual, but the call center will also consider if couples or 2 people who want to participate in counseling are geographically separated, then the telephone counseling may be a good option for them. And then the last one is, you see down here, online counseling. Now I got to tell you, I'm old school, right? And I always have thought if you're going to do counseling, you sit down and look somebody in the eye face to face, but we all know that especially our younger service members, you know, they're in the digital age, and so they can actually do a secure online chat format. And those sessions are scheduled just, you know, just like face-to-face or telephone. And those sessions range from about 15 minutes to 45 minutes. And again, they're with a licensed counselor. Now, let me see. Okay, now I want to tell you my funny story. So if you remember back to that topic slide, I got to tell you that every time we moved when my husband was still on active duty, I was a basket case. It's a wonder that we have been married as long as we have, because I'm telling you, every time we PCS'd, I was a basket case. And I'll tell you why. Because I always was concerned that I was never, ever going to find a job I loved as much as the one I was in. And so that caused me a lot of stress and anxiety. I was always worried about my kids and where they were going to go to school and if they were going to be behind or ahead, or you know how that goes. And then I have to admit to you all, to the whole world out there, that I'm a bit of a neat freak and a little bit obsessive, my family would say. And so the whole moving process, having to, you know, pack things up or watch the movers pack my garbage or whatever, was always just very stressful. And I'd make list after list of all the things I had to do, and then I'd lose my list, and that would cause me more stress. So we didn't have Military OneSource when my husband was still active duty. But if we had, and I had gone and called the call center and said, I need counseling, or my husband would have called and said, we need counseling, the call center would have asked me some questions. And what they would have found is that maybe I needed to address the issues in several ways. Number one, they would have referred me to plan my move, which I'm going to show you a slide about in just a couple of minutes. That would have helped me stay organized and not freak out about losing my list. They would have probably referred me to the Spouse Education and Career Opportunities part of Military OneSource, where I could have talked with somebody about portable jobs. What are portable jobs that transfer well in the military? And then finally, they would have helped me look at the school situation and what we were doing. And so I'm so grateful that I'm still married to my husband after this long, but those moves really were difficult for me especially. So that does bring up also talking about children being seen for non-medical counseling through Military OneSource. So under 13 years old, it's considered family counseling. So in other words, the child is not going to be seen on their own, and it's face-to-face. And so the parent or parents will, you know, need to go with the child and be in the session. Now, 13 to 18 can be seen individually, but a parent must bring the child in. And then for teenagers 18 and over, they can request their own counseling appointments, and they can be seen individually. So hopefully that makes sense, and if it doesn't, you know, ask questions. Now, I would say this slide under finances, under financial, represents something for everyone. And Verenice brought up that, you know, with some of our ACS and Airmen and Family Readiness Centers have been open, closed, closed, open, or with limited services, you know, I really encouraged service members during the past week, if you've got financial issues, call Military OneSource, because just like the non-medical personal counseling, Military OneSource also offers financial counseling at no cost as well. And then all of the things that you can see you know, on this slide. And I'm not going to go into them, but certainly you can look into that, or you can ask questions about that when we take a little break. This is one of my favorite parts about Military OneSource, and this is specialty consultations, because we know that certain issues really are best served through talking with a consultant who has specific expertise in a given area or topic. And I'm going to give you an example. I just went to an elder care workshop at Kirtland Air Force Base, and one of the military members who was there told us that recently his dad in Ohio, and keep in mind we're in New Mexico, had fallen and was in a rehab facility and was going to need some help coming out of that rehab facility. So the service member called Military One Source, and when he hit the ground in Ohio, got off the plane, he had a whole list of options for what he needed to do to get his dad set up with home care and all the resources that he needed. So I think that's pretty cool. And then you see, you know, adoption and then special needs. And under special needs, I always encourage, you know, special needs parents that you don't have to have a specific question about services. You know, being a special need parent is really, really difficult, or can be difficult. And so there are times where you may just need to talk to somebody. I encourage you really to call the call center and ask to speak with a special needs consultant. And then document translation. Here's another personal funny story. By the end of this, you all are going to know me quite well. I moved to Germany on my own and started working for family advocacy. And so I went looking for an apartment, and I signed the lease and didn't have a clue what it said. So please don't do that. Use Military One Source for document translation. Okay, health and wellness coaching. If you're looking for expert advice on losing weight or making healthier food choices, learning a little more about exercise, or how to handle stress, then Military One Source can help you reach those goals. There are health and wellness coaches who provide information, and you know, they're your personal cheerleader, and it's free. So how great to have somebody personally who's going to support you as you go through the journey of improving yourself. Now, on the right-hand side up here, you'll see self-directed coaching, and those are online programs through it's called the Living Series. Now, Living Easy is resiliency and stress management. Living Lean is a weight management program. Living Fit is a 90-day walking program, and Living Free is, bless this one, smoking cessation. So you can find out lots of information about these programs. I am going to show you, hopefully, if we have time, some of the wonderful health risk assessments that you can just go on and do. They are phenomenal, and such a variety. You just won't believe it when we look at that slide. Military One Source consultants are available to assist with questions on training, education, or other career-related matters. Now, you see here just a mention of the Spouse Education and Career Opportunities Center. We could honestly spend an entire hour talking about that resource. This is a wonderful program just for military spouses that covers the whole spectrum of employment. So if you're looking at a line that is the spectrum of employment, on the left-hand side, the Spouse Education and Career Center will help young spouses figure out what they want to do. There are a ton of assessments they'll help them with to figure out what are your interests and how do those interests translate into jobs. And then they'll assist in looking at education, college programs, anything like that, and how to get money for that, including the MyCAA program. And then they'll move along the spectrum to talking about certainly what are some good portable careers for military spouses. And then you get through your program, let's do your resume, let's look at it, let's talk about job search, and let's talk about interviewing. Now, a couple of years ago, I was lucky enough to go to the call center and actually sat with one of the vocational counselors, and these are all certified folks. And I listened as she went through a resume line by line with a military spouse in Tennessee, and they critiqued it and made some corrections and just got it ready to go. So it's a really awesome program. Okay, education resources you can see here from early childhood to college. And you could get started looking at a lot of different education information by just clicking on Career and Education tab, and that would be on the main Military One Source website. Okay, so here we go. computer is hung up here. All right. Are you still hearing me, folks? Okay, here we go. All right. So, Facebook, Twitter, blogs. Military OneSource has all your favorite social media outlets. Now, this next slide is one of my very favorite parts of Military OneSource, and this is the online library resources. This is just a phenomenal, amazing amount of information, and hopefully I'm going to have time to go into a few of those with you. Okay, so access. There's the toll-free number and the website. I encourage you certainly 24/7 to get in touch with Military OneSource. And we're going to do questions, but I did want to show you my name and email so that if anything has come up today that you have additional questions about or you need some specific information, please, please, please feel free to just email me. And I'll get, I promise I'll get right back to you. So Bree, if we can take just a quick break and answer any questions, and then I'll go on and hopefully show folks some information that they may not be specifically familiar with.
Sure, Deborah, absolutely.
And I'll just keep my screen. All right.
Okay. Let me unmute Verenice. Verenice, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Great. Well, you know what? I think it's different right now. Deborah, right now I was able to keep track of 2 questions, and then maybe we can go from there with whatever more we keep having. So, Deborah, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we have one great question. When you were talking about education, are there any scholarships or grants that the Military OneSource is offering for spouses?
The big program is the MyCAA, and that is up to $4,000. It is free money. It's not a grant. It's not a loan. Made available by the Department of Defense. And it is specifically for military spouses. It does have some criteria. So it's E1 through E5, Warrant Officer 1 and 2, and First and Second Lieutenant. Now, it's money for college or for an education program leading up to an associate's degree or a certificate program or a licensure program. So basically, it's covering 2 years, a 2-year program. Now, I'll give you a great example. Many of the nursing programs now are 2-year RN programs. And if you check in with the Spouse Education and Career Center, you'll know that RNs are, that's a very portable career for military spouses because they need nurses everywhere. So you can go through the Spouse Education and Career Opportunity Center and you can talk with the counselor and say, I'm interested in the MyCAA scholarship. And that's the big one. But something else that the counselors can do is help you or look for other types of scholarship money as well. Does that, hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, that sounds good. Now we're having questions. We have a few spouses from the National Guard, and I am going to start with the first one. We have a spouse that it is asking about are there any other resources the Military One Source is offering for them at wherever they are at? And you know that a lot of the times where the place where they live, they don't have places close to them to provide resources. Kind of, they don't live close to a base or a post, and they don't have enough resources. What is it the Military One Source can offer for these families that are not close to any other military installation?
Well, you know, I think the interesting thing is that I believe part of the reason that Military One Source exists is to serve our Guard and Reserve and to serve those who are geographically dispersed. And Verenice will tell you that New Mexico is an extremely rural state, and I work very closely with the Guard. So let's say, I mean, Guard and Reserve service members and families are absolutely eligible for all Military One Source programs and services and things that we've talked about already. So online and over the phone. Now let's say that you decide you would like to go have some face-to-face counseling. We have provider networks. Hopefully, you know, those provider networks are within a reasonable drive, and they the providers are licensed therapists in the state that you live in, and they have been vetted by Military One Source. They have to provide all of their documentation as far as licensure. Now, the question is, and this is true of New Mexico, there are some areas where we may not have a provider, a Military One Source provider. Well, the call center and the counseling section of the call center will then go outside of the network and find somebody for you to see face-to-face. So, you know, that's the big thing, is the counseling in remote areas. And you can always do counseling over the phone. So hopefully, hopefully that's, you know, that answers the question. Really and truly, the services should be available for all our Guard and Reserve.
Okay, that sounds great. And you know what? I want to address to those spouses that are sending us great messages right now and great questions, and more when it comes to the National Guard and the reserves and even any other active duty from all the other branches. There's so many places, and I can tell you, at least from my installation, the Readiness Center, where we have classes, where we have counseling, where we have all of those things that are teaching you things on a daily basis, even just to answer questions. A lot of the employees are not even back yet. So we're still lacking a lot of support when it comes to even to answer a question. And we wanted to tell everyone that whoever it is, whatever branch you belong to, if that installation is not close to your area, if your Readiness Center is being closed, or you don't have enough employees to assist you with all of those programs, this is the reason why Military One Source is here, to let you know what is available to you. You may not be able to have someone face-to-face, but you can do it over the phone, you can do it online. There's a lot of free resources that you can get. They have videos, they have books, there's a lot of resources that you can just send an email and order out, and they'll send them to you for free. So there's a lot of different ways to learn when it comes to resources. If any of you out there has a specific need right now that you can tell me, my base is not giving me this right now, and this is what I need, let me know so that we can ask our Military One Source rep and see what Military One Source can offer for you in that specific need. It is kind of hard to go into details with many different needs, because what Military One Source covers is big and is very wide. So it would be great if you can give us a specific need and tell me, we need this and we don't have it on base. Can Military One Source offer that? Right now that we're suffering with a government shutdown and not having all the benefits that we were having before. So please, are more than welcome to keep sending the details on all of this other stuff. And for right now, I guess I can ask another question while I keep reading through the comments. And we have one great question too from a National Guard spouse, Deborah. She was asking that when it comes to looking on the search for looking for installation, there's only in her place where she's at, there's only two options for installation, and none of those two are the ones that she's close to, or none of those two are good anymore. Is there any way that a National Guard can contact someone and say, hey, my installation is not on the locator? Can you include it?
If I'm understanding the question, then it's probably a guard or a reserve site rather than a military installation. If you want to email me and we can look into that some more, we can certainly make that correction and let the call center know. We have a mechanism for, obviously communicating with them if there's a mistake anywhere in the website. Then, please just let me know. And I know that probably doesn't answer the question, but I guess in general, if there's any installation missing out there, then we want to make sure we get that corrected. So just please let me know. I was just briefly reading through, and somebody commented that being a guard or a reserve spouse is very difficult. And absolutely, because oftentimes your kids are the only ones in the school whose parent might be deployed. You may live in a community where there aren't any other military folks, and so that's another reason why Military One Source is a great resource for you, because it can make you feel more connected to being a military spouse. And then, especially with the Guard, if you have an FRG group, get involved and make it better. If your FRG is not real active, volunteer to help get it more active and invite those spouses in so that nobody feels isolated.
Yeah, that sounds great. Now let me ask you something, Deborah. Since right now we know that right now Military One Source is assisting more families because the lack of support that we're having in our installation. Is there a waiting list if we call right now for any assistance, for counseling, for wanting to have information on financial assistance? Is there a waiting list, or is there someone that is going to be there to help us right away?
You know what? I am not aware of any wait at all. Now, it might be that, many times you call Military One Source and you want to talk with a financial counselor, you might be connected right away. Because the telephone consultants, who are, by the way, all master's level consultants, they have the appointment availability, so you might be able to talk to somebody right away. Now, with perhaps a lot of folks or more folks using that service, the delay may be, you're going to talk to somebody the next day. But as of right now, we don't know that there's any delay. The interesting thing is Military One Source is definitely tracking what kinds of calls and the number of calls that are coming in having to do with the government shutdown, because that's certainly something that we want to know about. And then everybody knows that the MFLACs are the Military Family Life Consultants are working. They are right now not impacted by the shutdown. So those MFLACs that are attached to the Guard or to the Airmen and Family Readiness Center, ACS, those folks are all still working.
Yeah, that's great to know. And I have one very important question, and I think it is one of those questions that we all have and we are all wondering and we are all worried about, which is our paycheck. We might get paid on the 15th, we may not. We don't know what's going to happen after the 15th, and we all have bills to pay, mortgages. I know Military One Source cannot give us a loan so we can pay our bills. Your financial assistants or counselors, can they guide us and let us know what can we do if this happens? How can they tell us which banks are helping us right now with loans, or what is the best thing to, when it comes to a financial way, what is the best way to handle if we don't get a paycheck? Which is, I think there's such such a thing of get a good way to handle it, but what is the best thing to do? Is Military One Source able to assist us with that?
I believe that the financial counselors are amassing that information. I know that just this week for in New Mexico, here in Albuquerque, the Guard got information from the local credit unions and, of course, from USAA, and they distributed that information. And then I took that information and distributed it to Kirtland. So I believe that the financial consultants and counselors at Military One Source can definitely assist in, in helping you through the process. I truly believe, and this is only my personal opinion, that most lenders are going to be pretty lenient with that, but the financial counselors can definitely give you information on how you go about informing people of what's going on and how you can negotiate through this whole process and not have your credit impacted. So I would definitely encourage anybody to go ahead and call.
Yeah, I feel the same way. This is one of those scary situations because it's unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. And pretty much our future, our situation is in somebody else's hands. And that's what makes it even more frustrating, and probably that frustration is not allowing us to see things in a much better, clear way, that we do have options. And just like something is coming up and there's a problem and a lot of people are coming together to fix that issue, I think that if the military, for any reason, that hopefully not, we end up going without a paycheck anytime soon, there, not just one or two families are going to be impacted by that. It's going to be many of us. And whoever we need to pay our bills to, everybody's going to be affected by it. So I don't think that those banks, those people that you owe money to are going to say, well, you know what, too bad. That's something that we don't care for. Because after all, the economy is affecting everyone. And it's going to affect us for not having a paycheck, and it's going to affect the bank because there's no money. So it's kind of like a chain of reaction that if it affects one family, it's going to affect everyone else. So I feel that if something like that happens, we will have the support from people to say, we understand there's no money coming in, we'll find a way to assist you. And I really hope that that is the case, that if we go through this, then it's going to be more than just one institution telling us, we're here for you, we're here to help you, and we'll do something about it. And you know what? And if we don't have enough support, then we will make sure that they get to hear us. Then as military spouses, then we need to raise our voice and do something about it. Instead of getting frustrated, then we need to take action, and we need to do something about it. A lot of the times our frustration is limiting us from doing what we can do and what we are capable of doing. So the same thing, that is also my personal opinion, but I think that one way or the other we should be fine. And the more that we know there are agencies out there providing resources, even just to talk to you when you are frustrated, it makes a big difference. And I really hope that you are learning and you are getting a lot of information from this webinar, because after all, it's for all of you, it's for all of us, so that we know what is out there for us. So I think that, I don't know if I've been missing other questions while I've been talking. Bree, have you been noticing any other questions?
The only ones that I noticed that I don't think we answered out loud is the audiobooks that are on the Military One Source website. Are those free of charge, Deborah, or is there a cost associated with those?
No, those are absolutely free, and I was going to go through a little bit on that because I think a lot of people are not aware of that resource.
Okay, wonderful. And then, nope, the only other ones, unless anybody, if I'm missing one, please, copy and paste it. I might not have caught it, but I think we've answered most of them up until this point. So if you want to continue, Deborah, you can.
Okay. Yeah, wanted to show you a couple of really neat parts of Military OneSource that you may not be as familiar with. You know, when I shared with you how crazy and what a basket case I always was with moving, Military OneSource now has Plan My Move, and what I've done is pulled up a calendar from Plan My Move, and it asked me to put in my you know, where my base is now, where I'm going, and my estimated date of departure. And after I did that, then look at what it gave me, because I put that I was leaving January 2nd. It gave me day by day what I needed to do, and this is just an amazing resource, I think, for when you're moving. And I love January 1st. Relax, tomorrow is pack-out day. The other thing that this will do for you is also if you do a travel checklist. Remember I said I was always losing my checklist. This will actually give you a checklist of all the things that, you know, go into a move. So I think that it's an amazing resource. Now, just like we have Plan My Move, we also have Plan My Deployment. And that is specifically for when someone is being deployed. And it works the same way, that you put in your date of deployment, date of return, and it gives you a listing of things that you need to complete. Now, I was down at Fort Bliss not too long ago and talking with some folks about Plan My Deployment, and they said, well, you know, as the military service members, they go in groups and they have a big old checklist of stuff that they have to do. And somebody said, but Plan My Deployment would be great for spouses because it's a way for them to track as well what's going on with deployment. So those are two that I encourage you to look at: Plan My Move and Plan My Deployment. So those are great resources. The other thing I wanted to show you, let me see what else I've got here. Okay, remember when we went over the health and wellness programs? Excuse me. If you click on those, and let me show you again, I should have done that. You see down here, health, library, tools, and online courses. That's how you get into all of the health information. And you can sign up and get the health coaching just by calling the call center. But this is some amazing information. So when you click on this, it's going to say, and with a lot of things now on the website, it'll say you're leaving Military OneSource, but don't worry about that because it's all linked together. But you're going to go, if you click on that, you're going to get here to all of the different health and wellness programs. And you can see here, there's the Living Fit, that's the walking program, just all kinds of wonderful online things that you can do, but I wanted to show you under assessments because this is absolutely amazing. And hopefully my computer is working well enough that you're able to follow along. So here are the, the profiles, the different health assessments that, that you can do. Here's a health risk assessment, and then cancer prevention guide. In case you don't know what this one is, this is an Eastern sort of Oriental Asian medical, yeah, what do I want to say, medical profile. It's fun to take. Preventive care, sleep, you can assess how your sleep is and maybe get some suggestions on what to do about that. Now, so that's the different profiles. Here's health risk. And you can go through and assess if you are at risk for any of these diseases, you know, which is great. The better educated we are, the more we're able to, you know, take precautions and improve our risk so that we stay healthy. I love this one. This is the life work style, and you can go in and take an assessment. I don't know about you all, but I love to go in and take those self-assessments because you learn so much about yourself. And then the great thing about these is that you do them online, and they actually, you know, you click the button and it takes the information, and then it spits out for you your personal information from the assessment. So here are some life work style. You know, how do you react to stress? Examine your relationship with food. Don't we all have to do that sometimes? Find out if your job is taking a toll on your mental health. These are amazing, amazing assessments. And then the final one, of course, is conditions and symptoms. And, you know, we don't want anybody to, you know, to make anybody feel worse. But here are some things that, assessments that will help you determine if you need to reach out and get some help for certain things. So I just think these are amazing. I love them. And I wanted to show you from this one, if we go to the health risk assessment, this is an assessment that talks about, you know, are you living in your head? Are you living in your heart? And it just gives you some information that you put in all of this, and it comes out and it tells you, you know, what your health status is and what you can do to be healthier. So I would just encourage all of you to get into that spot and take some of those assessments, because they're fun, but they also give you lots and lots of information. And just one more time, again, from the main page, here they are: health, library, tools, and online courses. All right, that's the health information. I wanted to show you a couple of other things. Are we doing okay time-wise, Verenice?
Yeah, we have a few minutes left.
Okay. Let me just show you, since we're talking about the finance thing, again, on the main page, you can go to financial calculators. And these, again, bumped me off here. Let me just go back, since we're running short on time. The calculators absolutely will help you look at all different kinds of finance information, and you plug in your own data. If you're thinking about buying a car and you want to know, you know, what your loan payment's going to be, same thing with a house, with a lease payment, check out those financial calculators, because you put in your personal information, and again, just like with the assessments, out pops your, you know, your own data. And then the DoD MWR libraries, I was going to show you some of those, but I know that everybody's got a busy schedule, and maybe we can do that at another time, because there are unbelievable resources. I know somebody asked about the audiobooks, free audiobooks, free wonderful talking books for your children. And before I go, I've got to say this, through the DoD MWR library, free SAT prep course, free ACT prep course for those of you who have teenagers who are looking at trying to get ready for college, free PSAT prep courses. And then for anybody who's going back to school or wants to go to further their education, there's free GRE and GMAT, all of those graduate level free prep courses. I don't even want to tell you how much I've spent with my kids on paying for those prep courses. So that's just another great, tremendous resource. And, you know, before I sign off, I just want to thank you so much for hanging out with us this afternoon. And again, I'm just going to put up the final page again and encourage you, if anybody has any questions about what we've gone over today, do not hesitate to send me an email and I'll get back to you. You know, there's lots of information I may not know, but I will certainly find the answers, you know, through the military OneSource process and get right back to you. And again, thank you so much.
Okay. We have one last question, and it is, under what tab can we find the move chart and calendar? Is that on the main page, military OneSource page?
You know what, Verenice, I didn't hear you. Can find what?
Okay, where can we find the move chart and the calendar? Under what?
Oh, plan my move. Tab? Yeah. I can actually take you there. Let me just a second get out of here, and we'll see if we can't do that. Okay. So I'm going to go to the main Military OneSource website. This is before you even have to sign in at all. Go to Military Life Topics, okay, and we want to do moving. Okay, we're going to click on that. It's thinking, it's thinking. Okay, and then we want to scroll down to plan my move right there. And I'll show you once we click on it. There it is. Where are you currently stationed? Where are you being reassigned? When do you plan to depart? Fill that in. You're going to click Get Moving. And then there you go. It'll come out with your calendar, and then you can do your own checklist.
That's great. That's awesome, awesome. Well, Deborah, thank you so very much for doing this webinar with us and for showing us all the things that Military OneSource is doing. And that way we can get an idea of what can Military OneSource replace that we don't have in our installation right now. So I really want to say thank you for being with us, and we might have another one sometime soon, and hopefully talk about all those other specific issues that we would like to talk about. So thank you so much for joining us. And I also want to give one last, I want to say something to all the spouses that are still connected. I really wish I had the answers for all the questions when it comes to the government shutdown and what's going to happen in the future. I am just another military spouse like you, and I have concerns, and I worry. But I am trying to find different ways and how can I assist my family and those around me. And I think the best thing to do, when I was saying earlier, we have to take action. What I mean by that is we need to look what is out there. There are many organizations helping military families right now. And I think that that is part of something that we can do, is look for that information. And also remember, if you are National Guard, if you are from any other branch, Army, Air Force, we all have a Military Spouse of the Year through the Military Spouse of the Year program and sponsored by the Military Spouse magazine. You can reach out to them. You can say, hey, is there any way that you can give me an answer for this? I'm worried about something on my installation. We also have installation winners. Those installation winners can also help you out. And I saw one of our installation winners for the National Guard right here, Cynthia's with us. And let me tell you, we were selected for a reason. And we are here to try to answer your questions. If we don't have the answer, then we'll try to find, but we will be together. And we are not going to let any other spouse to go through all of this craziness on their own. So thank you for being with us. I really hope that you learned something new. I really hope that as soon as we get information that there's someone else doing something for our military families, I will bring them and do a webinar. We will share that information through Facebook, through the Military Spouse magazine. They're always posting stuff on who's helping and who's not helping and who's asking for volunteers. Just stay in touch with us, and we will find a way how to help each other. So thank you so much again, and for joining us. Bree, thank you so much for doing this for us.
No problem. Before everybody leaves, I just want to add a couple things. Definitely a big thank you to Verenice and Deborah. This webinar was wonderful, as always. Verenice, if you wouldn't mind, could you type in your email address? I can't recall it off the top of my head. In the chat box so that everybody can email you.
I am about to send it.
Okay. Like I said in the beginning, Verenice does a fabulous job at putting these webinars together. If you go to the Military Spouse Magazine's YouTube page, all of her previous webinars, including this one, will go up shortly, probably tomorrow as well. But you can see all of her other webinars, and then definitely follow our Facebook page to see when her upcoming ones we already have a couple more in the works with her. So those are going to be great. And just to remind everybody, November 18th is when we open up nominations for next year's Military Spouse of the Year Award. So if you know of any other military spouses who are doing these extremely vital things, just as Verenice is doing, definitely remember to nominate them in November. But I just want to thank you all again for attending today. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. And that's all. Thank you.